Welcome to Little Victories, the self-help comedy podcast that proves success isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Hosted by fast-talking firecracker Richie DeFrisco and the ever-sly Pat the Cat Murray with the Pat Facts. This is Little Victories.
And welcome back to Little Victories podcast. This is your host, Richie D, with my co-host, Pat Murray, Pat the Cat. This is our Christmas episode, 2025, I believe. That's the year. We have an amazing guest, but before I get to our last guest of the year, the season, just want to have a brief conversation with my co-host about how things went. Our very first year of the podcast. You became the co-host immediately. Don't ask me how. It was a vote system. People voted you in.
All
and
right.
Here you are.
That's the power of democracy, my friend.
How do you feel about our first year?
You know, we've done a lot, my friend. I'm just moseying around our channel. What's 7 months ago? What's that? 12 minus 7. May? We started in May? April, May?
It's been less than a year then?
Less than a year, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But within that, I know it's less than a year, but within the amount of time that we've done this, it's scary. The people that we've had on this show, which makes me realize that within our reach, obviously there's tons of amazing people, but the amount of talent, that's what's scary.
Absolutely. I think you and me aside, the ability that we've had to kind of get these people on here, and it's all Richie.
You're riding the wave.
I'm just living in the moment.
That's right. Well, anyway, I want to thank you.
I
You're
thank you
wonderful.
too, brother.
I can't thank you enough. I hate after now I got to say nice things. You've been amazing. I'm very lucky to have you as my co-host. I can't ask for a better co-host. Oh, this is disgusting. Oof. I got to wash my mouth out after this.
And I got to say, Richie, we've known each other for, about a decade now. And this, I don't think we could have done any better with our first joint endeavor.
You know, now that I'm thinking of this might be a good segue. We're all tied together. Me, Pat, our producer, Mr. Gilliette.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say his last name.
Gillette, the best a man can get.
He's French, so his last name is all you have to pronounce it. But I met Pierre, our producer, many years ago when I was trespassing on his parents' property. It was a boatyard in the Bronx on Commerce Avenue, and it was a marina. To still some degree, it might be, but not what it was. And I met Pat there many years ago. We would carry boats together. Now, me and Pat might not look impressive, but we got a lot of power behind our little bodies.
And I shared with you all, if you think back to Samantha's episode, that technically I'm class 2 obese, but I'm stronger than I look.
He is stronger than he looks.
We were schlepping motors and gasoline and scaffolding and boats and creeks and mud and waders and Army Corps of Engineers.
We were like the Army Corps of the Bronx.
And union guys always coming after us. Do you guys get prevailing wage? Do you guys get hazard pay? We said, no, we get a flat rate, and we get a sandwich at lunchtime.
We get a sandwich.
That's about it.
From a gas station.
From a gas station, yeah. Shout out to BP.
But this is
Westchester Square.
Tremendous segue because we met an artist years ago when we were screening our film Bristol Fashion, which you should watch, and we'll talk about that again at some point before this episode ends. But there's an amazing, and I mean, the talent amongst her and all of the guests that we have, especially we have a lot of artists, but the amount of detail in her paintings is absurd. It's obnoxious. That's how good her paintings are, spot on. She literally, if there's graffiti on an overpass and she's painting that overpass, recreates the graffiti on it, spot on, which is, there's no words for her work. So without further ado, I want to introduce one of the greatest artists to ever come from this city, and I don't even think that's debatable. Pat, the one and only Valerie Larko.
Welcome, Valerie.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And just to give another plug for Bristol Fashion, the film, I absolutely love it. It's a wonderful film, and it does take place on that beautiful marina with the houseboats that I painted many years ago. And that's how Pierre and my paths crossed. That painting that I did of the houseboats in the Bronx on Westchester Creek was shown in a solo show I had at the Bronx Museum in 2016. And Pierre saw the show, looked me up through my website and contacted me, and he said, I see that painting is sold. Can I get a print for my father? He owned the marina, and I'd love to give him a print as a birthday present. So I said, sure. I didn't have any prints made, but I knew somebody who could make me a print. So I made him a print. He came to my studio, and we just became friends. And it was wonderful. And he's very talented, and so are you, Richie. The film is one of my favorite films.
I'm an actor in the film.
I know that. I remember the film very well. I really thought it was fabulous. I saw it at a little theater on Orchard Beach.
Oh, was Cinema on the Sound?
Yes,
Yeah.
And there was a Q&A afterwards. I came with a friend of mine. It was great. It was great.
For everyone that watches, if you do need certifiable proof that Richie is an actor, please do check out Bristol Fashion. He does a great job in that. Shout out to Pierre, our producer. Shout out to Francois. Old man Francois. He was the owner of that marina.
I've met him.
Without him, it wouldn't have been there.
Yeah,
And
because if we would have called the cops, I probably would have not met Pierre. But they didn't call the cops when I was trespassing. They called Pierre, and that's we spoke about it. Like, so yeah, you were walking around on my father's property. Yeah, I'm a photographer, and then we met, and then it's been stars collided. That's for sure. It's funny with him because he knows more about art than I do, and even photography. He knew more photographers than I did, and I was doing photography for years. It was only until I went and got an education on photography that I really mastered it to some degree, and that helped because, some people don't need it. It was the final product of making me the photographer that I wanted to be, and I feel like my eye with the camera is up there. I'm not saying that from ego. It's all the time I put in. I do sincerely. I swear by this. I want it on my gravestone when I pass away many years from now. I want this one thing that says success is in the details. That means a lot to me, and that's all about your work. The detail
I
is
am
there.
the queen of details. I love painting the details. And I've had people ask me why I paint as detailed as I do. And the reason is I feel like I'm a visual storyteller, and the details help tell the story of a particular time and place. Plus, this is the reason I paint on location rather than from photographs. I could easily paint from photographs. It's no big deal. But there's nothing like being on location for months. A big painting takes me 2 to 3 months to do. I usually work on one in the morning and one in the afternoon because after about 3 hours, the light drastically changes. So in that 2 to 3 month time, I can do 2 large paintings. And I usually do a color study before I commit to a large painting to figure out composition. You don't want to spend 3 months on a giant painting and then say, oh my God, if I had just stretched a little bit more canvas on the right side, the composition would have been better. You don't want to go through that. You want to know that you're going to nail it if you're going to spend that much time. And so I do a color study first. And then I figure that helps me figure out composition. I order custom-made stretcher bars. I stretch my own linen canvas and gesso it. And then I go back on site again and do the large painting on location. Now, the reason that process is so important, it isn't just the details, but it's also the people I meet, the stories I hear. To me, the stories are almost more important than the actual painting. And while other people may not know this, I know that it helps me be able to make a better painting, to understand a place. It means that I'm endlessly interested in the world around me. I never know who I'm going to meet or what's going to happen when I go to a new site. And usually I start out with a small painting when I go to a new site to see if I'm going to get, somebody's going to chase me, somebody's going to harass me, something's going to change. And once I find a place that's good, I usually like to do a series of paintings. I'll give you for instance. A recent series I did was in Yonkers at the abandoned Glenwood power plant. I spent about 15 or 16 months painting there. I did over 20 paintings, and it was fabulous. I mean, this place is a creative mecca. A lot of people would just see an old abandoned power plant, not think twice about it. But once you go in and you meet the graffiti artists, they're just one part of this creative mecca. They're making the place look interesting. But then there's all the other creatives, film directors, people coming in to make music videos, fashion shoots, anime shoots. Now, here's something most people probably haven't seen while they're out painting. Highliners. Do you know what a highliner is? Well, these are crazy people who take a high wire rope way up the main part of there are 3 buildings to the power plant, and the turbine room has super high ceilings. I'm talking 3-4 stories high ceilings. They go up there, they string a tightrope across the entire length of the ceiling, down a little bit, and then they walk across it and do flips and stuff.
Oh, man.
And I can see your face, Richie.
When did they? Obviously, it's a special group of people, right?
Oh, believe me, they are a special group of people, and they were fascinating. So I'm there on the bottom of the floor, doing my painting on the ground, and they're up behind me. Now, here's the thing. It sounds super scary. I personally would not be interested in this, but they always are buckled in because they're always going to fall. It's just a matter of how quickly they're going to fall, how many flips and other things they can get done before they fall. But they're strapped in, so they fall, they bounce a little bit, they get back on the rope, and they keep going.
And these are in band. These are a band.
Right.
You don't need permits. People are just walking around.
It's true. And these places only last for a short period of time.
Before corporations get that land
and do something with it. Right. So these creative meccas, and this place was fascinating. The fact that I was able to get that much access for that long, I could just walk right in the place. It was amazing. I met drone operators, photographers. I mean, you name it. But the highliners were really pretty cool.
That's definitely something different. And what is it? It's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
To be accused of trespassing and all that.
And believe it or not, this is the one area of the arts where being a girl is really handy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It actually is, because people think I'm less likely to be doing something illegal or vandal, and I'm not a vandal. Mm-hmm. I paint on canvas. But, I can usually sweet talk my way if I have to, in or out of a place. But I agree with you 100%. That has always been my theory. I go in. I don't ask permission. I start small in case I get kicked out. And if I don't get kicked out, then I do a whole series. And there are people who bought that building. There's a developer, and it's going to be nicknamed the plant instead of the power plant, the Glenwood power plant. And last I heard from my drone friends, you can't get in anymore.
Wow.
I got incredibly lucky. I was done, not this year, but in the end of 2024 is when I finished this series. And I got incredibly lucky.
I wanted to just touch on something you said about like the essence of change and things are always, because I mean, I'm in love with what I'm looking at right here. Valerie was able to show us one of her paintings, and I'd be safe to say if you went back to that location now, there would be 100 different things, correct?
Well, this is a really interesting place. I am the self-proclaimed queen of rust, besides loving details. I just love rusty, crusty stuff. And this is this is in the Bronx, near the Randall Island connector. And there's just a walkway to get onto Randall's Island. At first, I painted, this is from this year, too. This is from this season. So first, I painted on Randall's Island for the first time. I did a painting at their athletic field for the Hellgate Bridge. Mm-hmm. I love bridges. I've always had a thing for bridges. Even when I started my career in northern New Jersey, bridges were one of the first things that industrial waterfronts, graffiti wasn't a thing, but bridges and industrial sites. I actually started painting a lot of heavy-duty industrial sites. They're called industrial parks, and that's an oxymoron. It's kind of hilarious because there's nothing really park-like about these places. But the tanks and all the stuff is really cool. Anyway, that's how I started. And then I moved to southern New Rochelle. I'm in the Bronx in 8 minutes. 22 years ago, about. And I'm like, oh, gosh. I moved for love, moved to be with my now husband, and I'm like, oh God, what am I going to paint? And then I just started wandering and I found the Eastchester Barge Canal. And that is all industrial. So that reminded me of a lot of the urban waterfront in Jersey City and the surrounding area that I had started painting at.
So this is your very first painting of a structure like that.
Back in Jersey City. Yes, that's where I first started. And then I moved, like I said, to southern New Rochelle, and then I started painting the Eastchester Barge Canal, and then I started going deeper and deeper into the Bronx. And while there was a tad of graffiti in some of my earlier work in New Jersey, it just wasn't a thing back then. I mean, I moved to Jersey City right out of art school in 1986. So, yeah, I'm dating myself now. I'm not a youngster. I've been at this a long time, and I love it. So when I moved to Jersey City, I'm like, what am I going to paint? Like, look at this place. And I found this park. It was called, the locals called it Mosquito Park, but it was Leonard Gordon Park right near where I lived in the Jersey City Heights. And I just started painting there. And I started painting the, the view of the industrial sublime, as I call it, around that area. And then I started wandering into these industrial parks and doing close-ups of tanks and all kinds of other stuff and bridges. I painted the Pulaski Skyway many times. It was the first bridge I fell in love with. I still love the Pulaski Skyway. Anyway, fast forward to 2025, this past year, and this painting I brought with me. This is a train trestle bridge. The trains would go over it. I love that it has graffiti in it. It didn't have a lot. It had some. And like I said, my earlier work, there was rarely ever any graffiti. I like to think of the Bronx as the birthplace of contemporary graffiti.
Me too.
Because when I started painting here 22 years ago, I saw so much more graffiti than I ever saw in Jersey City or that area.
And I just want to give a shout out to Bio Nicer BG, the crew from Tats Crew, because the amount of positive energy that they've brought to that borough, there's no words for it. And you too now as well. Because what it is for me is that the life you bring. Remember, it's a tough place to live, right? We all know that, right? So within the borough, you have these artists that are not gangbanging; they're just painting, whether it's graffiti or structures or whatever the case is. Here you are outside in the community, not in your apartment with a photograph, but on location with an easel through hot summers. Have you ever been through a hot summer?
Oh, honey bunny, of course I have.
Cold winter?
And a cold winter, I've got all kinds of clothing. I wear sunblock clothing in the summer and a big hat. I'm known for my giant hat that I wear when I paint.
Yep.
But I'm I'm a pale face, so I'm going to get burnt to a crisp. So I need my hat. I need my sunblock clothing. I don't want to die of skin cancer. And then the winter, I got my down coats and my long underwear. Although when it gets really cold, I don't paint on location. Well, I kind of paint on location. I sit in my car and paint. So in the winter, I do what I call car paintings. I also do research for what I'm going to look for, when the weather gets nicer. And I also, for all of my major paintings, this one included, I do a quick color study. I think I've already mentioned that. So in the winter, I will finish those studies using the big finished painting as the reference. So I call my studies finished studies. And after a year or two, if I don't finish those studies, they go in the drawer to die.
But you're on location for about 3 months. You're working with the available light, ambient light. So what it is as a photographer, right? And I like making these. I'd like to actually make one soon when I get the chance, if I ever do. They're called like Hockney joiners in that regard. David Hockney, something joiner that I studied in school years ago, along the lines of like this. I stay in a specific spot. And I photograph a scene,
right?
But I do it over time, so that it's and you make it one big piece. Now it's kind of similar to, which I'm fascinated by this, is because with your paintings, you're out there on location for 3 months. The amount of times the sky changes, the light changes, the sunsets, the sunrise, all of this stuff. You have to pick a specific.
And you have to stick with that. So what I do is I get to the spot the same time every day. And if I'm trying to capture very complex lights and shadows, I got this down, baby. I've done a lot of complex lights and shadows. I get there about a half hour before the light is perfect. I mix up all the light and dark paint on my palette. So as soon as the light is in the right place, I paint like crazy. And the key to it is getting the big shapes down first. Once you nail those down, the littler shapes are easier to get. And if you fudge it a little, it doesn't matter. That's the irony about my paintings. They're so detailed that people think they're exact replicas. Nothing could be further from the truth. I don't grid, I don't project, I do everything freehand. And I think the hand of the artist, when you work the way I do, is more visible. And that's important to me. And if something isn't exact, that's okay. As a matter of fact, I will change things, believe it or not, if I think it's going to make a better painting. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. You've heard that saying. Well, I live by that. So, for instance, this painting here, you can see it has some graffiti on the bottom part. Well, 2 of those pieces of graffiti happen to be my own tags. No, I do not do them on walls. They are not on the actual wall. But that Ruby 87, Ruby was my shepherd mix who went over the Rainbow Bridge many years ago. She was a wonderful dog. She looked like a Belgian shepherd. I got her from the North Shore Animal Rescue Place. I am an adopt, don't shop kind of girl. I do a lot of animal rescue. So I rescued Ruby from the North Shore Animal League. I was living in New Jersey at the time at 87 Ashwood Avenue, and I named my tag after I moved to New Rochelle with my dog and my boyfriend, now husband. And when I decided that I was painting a lot of things with graffiti, okay, in it. And sometimes I just needed to pop a color or something to change. And I'm like, why don't I just make up my own tag? Yep. So I had Ruby, the dog, and 87, where she used to live, because a lot of times they have numbers. So Ruby 87 became my tag. I've been using it probably for close to 20 years now, but only in my paintings.
Only in your paintings. And I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't get a chance to say that, you know, had I seen this from even just 10 feet away, that's a photograph. And just the amount of detail. Every time I look at it, I look at you, I look back at the painting, I notice something different, whether it be the lighting, whether it be just the insane attention to detail. I can't get over it. I mean, I will sing your praises all day long. This is just,
Thank you.
And you've done a lot in this short time that we've been together, just to kind of also help bring everything full circle. I mean, we had Tats Crew last week, and
they're friends of mine, by the way. They're great guys.
And just everything that we've done, and this is also helping us come full circle with the fact that this is our wrap-up episode for 2025. You know, just having Bronx Community Cats, and we got to talk on animals and art in general. So, you know, thank you for bringing this, because I think this is really just helping us and helping everyone else see that we really are in the presence of someone that is just an amazing talent. So thank you.
He was not supposed, when we started this, the rule was he had to raise his hand if he wanted to talk. Then all of a sudden, you give him an inch, he takes you out. Now we can't even get this guy to shut up now.
Well, now here's the thing too, because I've been told
he's proving you right.
Because
Richie.
I've been told that I've been slacking on the pat facts a bit. And for
Thank you.
all of our viewers that are sitting on the edge of your seats for when is the next pat fact, I do have a few. But the one that really comes to mind is the fact that Van Gogh, during his lifetime, Vincent Van Gogh, only sold one painting. And with that, my question to you is, have you been successful on the business side of selling your artwork? And whether it's a yes or a no, does your passion for the art form supersede that monetary reward? If you had never sold a painting, would you have kept painting?
Well, here's the deal. Yes, I would have kept painting. But what if I'd never made a penny off my art, I would have kept painting, because it's my obsession. It's not a profession. It's a vocation. It's an obsession. I am, and I think this is true of a lot of your guests from what I'm hearing, I have an obsessive personality. I like to go all in. I don't do things 100%. I want to do that extra 10, 20, 30%. But let me just finish, because I just said about Ruby. I'll get back to your question, Pat. But Tula is my other tag in there. Okay, I just want to point out Tula. Tula is my current red-nosed pit bull. I rescued Tula in the North Bronx. She is a wonderful dog, and pitties, they get a bad rap, but she's the most loving, gentle animal, and my life is better because I have this dog in it.
It's the hands that they're in.
That's true. There are no bad dogs.
There were the living
bad dogs
living close to me, and this kid was a piece of shit. And he was like breeding these pit bulls, asking everybody around about, oh, breed your dog with me at mine, just to like, and then they would train them. There were dogs everywhere. And it was horrible. And then, like, all training them how to, like, with the lockjaw, with the ropes, and trying to teach them how to fight and this and that. I said, this kid is something else.
Monster.
And thank God they're not around anymore. But, you know, it depends on really the hands that they're in.
Oh, absolutely. And the person who had Tula loved the dog so much. Anyway, I wound up helping the former owner, too. But let me get back to your question about finances. What I learned early on in my art career, because I don't come from money and I had to support myself and I didn't get married until late in life, was that I had to figure out how to support myself so I could be an artist. And once I figured out that I wanted to paint on location, well, you know, I can't have a day job, so I had night jobs. I waitressed, I did computer graphics for Financial News Network, which no longer exists. So I had a lot of evening jobs and part-time jobs. And even after that, I just quit teaching last November. It's a year now. I taught for 32 years at an art center in New Jersey. I loved my students. I loved teaching. But that commute from southern New Rochelle to Summit, whew, don't miss that. Miss my students, but I don't miss that commute. It was time. Now, even with teaching part-time, and I ran a college art gallery for 14 years and all the other crazy things I did to make a living, the truth is, if I hadn't learned how to sell my artwork, I would have been severely restricted in how much time I had to make art. So I had to figure that one out. And I did. And I've been fairly successful. I mean, you know, I'm not going to be rich. It's a good thing I got married. I did get health insurance that way. He's also, Peter Riccio is my biggest supporter, and I'm very grateful. But I was 44 when I married him. He was 45, his second marriage. And he's a wonderful guy and very supportive. I waited because I didn't want to marry somebody who couldn't understand, oh, aren't we going to this barbecue on Saturday? Oh, the weather's beautiful. No, I'm going to be out painting. What do you mean? Go to a barbecue on a beautiful Saturday or Sunday? No, I had to be with somebody who could entertain themselves. Mm-hmm. And Peter, my lovely husband, is very good. He has a lot of hobbies, a lot of interests. He's like me. He's a go-getter. He does his own thing. So we wound up being a very good match for each other. So that helped. But really, even before I met Peter, as I told you, I met him later in life, I had just figured out, and there are lots of exhibition opportunities, even if you don't have a commercial gallery, which I did not have at that point. I was too busy working and juggling and, you know, but there are nonprofit places. I would show there. I made sure I always had postcards with information on people could contact me. I remember I had a roommate who I went to art school with, a good friend, Karen. She got into computer graphics and then a website. She got a computer early on when you first got desktops. You know, I'm older. I didn't come up as a digital native, as they're called now. But the website was important, learning. And then Instagram. Let's just talk about social media for just 1 second. Now, with the proliferation of social media, artists can really take their careers into their own hands. And I like to say that the internet is one of the best inventions of my lifetime. We all know the dark side, but there's a lot more up than negative. It's also how I met my husband. Anyway, Match.com.
So that's where our wives are coming from Instagram.
Oh,
Match.com,
Facebook
sweetheart.
dating.
I'm on different culture websites.
Bumble, Hinge, Farmers Only, Christian Mingle.
Muslim Mingle, every site that there is.
Yeah, I was on for all of 2 weeks and met my husband.
Wow.
We both got off. We had 5 dates in 8 days, and the rest is history. But let's bring it back to the art. Okay. What artists can do now is put their work out there in a much more public way than they ever could before. You have a show in a gallery or even a museum. How many people are going to wander in there and see the show? Hundreds, if you're lucky, maybe 1,000. But with Instagram and Facebook and some people TikTok, I'm on there, but I don't use it as much. Mostly it's Instagram and Facebook for me. You can reach so many more people. So I've sold artwork because of Instagram and Facebook to people who knew me but didn't know what I had available. But I post stuff and they're like, whoa, is that available? I got a solo museum show at the Susquehanna Art Museum in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This woman saw my work in a gallery in Chelsea, New York, and then she posted about it on Instagram. And of course, I thanked her. And she said, send me your email address. And then we kept in contact. Then she put me in a group show. Then she gave me a solo show. So, there are all these ways that artists can connect that we didn't have these opportunities
No, absolutely
before.
not. And it also gives the ability, and I'm going to give you an example. There was a tattoo convention that we had recently in White Plains. Now, I'm a person that once you're my person, that you're my person, that's it forever. So I have a tattoo artist, but he's my tattoo artist. Shout out to John Sweeney, and I love this man to death. That is my. If he doesn't want to tattoo something, he can give me a reference to somebody, but everything filters through John Sweeney. He's the owner of Hard Knocks over there it's on Central Avenue where Tucker Hill Road meets Hard Knocks Studio. And this man is the best of the best. And so we had the convention. I got to see John. I haven't seen in a while. I immediately show him people because I wanted him to be a guest as well. And I actually showed your work to him. He immediately took the phone out of my hands, looked at your work and said, wow. Immediately went to his phone and started following you immediately because he respected he was just blown away by the amount of detail in your work. So shout out to John Sweeney.
And then my final question for you would be, so you're fortunate that you didn't have to suffer the way Van Gogh did, only selling one. You very well could be on the track of a Da Vinci painting. I had seen somewhere that one of his sold for upwards of $400 million. I don't know. But if people are knocking down the door after they watch this episode to get an original Larko, how can they do that?
Well, they can contact me via my website. They can follow me on Instagram and DM me. They can follow me on Facebook and DM me. There are many ways. All of my things are just my name, Valerie Larko, no E at the end of Valerie. I am the only Valerie Larko in the United States, maybe the world.
Isn't that beautiful?
And before we wrap this up, though, the other thing that has recently helped me is the film Larko Land. Let's just spend a moment on Larko Land.
And I just want to say that you fucked up because that's where we were supposed to end this episode.
With Larko Land?
Yeah, no shit.
Well, that's why I'm here.
I was so excited to now. So I saw the screening of the film.
Yes, you saw the film.
So shout out also to Jeremy Huff, the producer of this film.
Filmmaker extraordinaire.
What a gentleman. He made a tremendous film. I was so excited to see this film, and I was so happy. And I'm not a good liar.
Neither am I.
It is effortless to say how much I appreciate this film because it shows your career of who you are. Everything that was just said just now can be seen in this film. It is very important for you guys to try to watch this film. If you like independent documentaries, I'm a big documentary guy. I don't watch anything else. I just read and watch documentaries. And this documentary is substantial because it shows her life as this painter during the duration of her career throughout the Bronx, sitting with her easel. It shows you the process. It shows you everything. And you get to see her life instead of just, us trying to speak about it. Now you get to see the visual. So Larko Land, Larko Land, Land. Larko Land is a film by Jeremy Huff. But talk briefly about the film.
You can see a teaser for it on YouTube if you Google. I do have a few things on YouTube. Well, let's go back to what I said about social media. How did Jeremy Huff found me? I got to tell you, people for years were saying, Valerie, you got such a great story. Somebody should make a film about you. I said, great, do you know anybody? And nobody ever knew anybody. And then Jeremy DM'd me. I do check my DMs on Instagram. I'm easy to contact. And he said, I'd like to do a short film about you. And I said, okay. And so he came to my studio. It turns out he only lives one town away from me in Mount Vernon. I'm in New Rochelle. He came over to my studio, was there for a couple hours. We totally hit it off. And the rest is history. He followed me around for close to 2 years painting. And then it took another 6 months to edit it. It's only a 12-minute film, but he captured so much. We even went back to New Jersey, where my career started, where my life as an artist started. We went past the Pulaski Skyway. I love that bridge. And all these other areas that I painted. And Jeremy is just a lovely person, too. He's sensitive, he's kind, and I'm incredibly grateful for him helping me.
I respect all artists. This we're big between me, Pierre, with artists. We have
And Pat.
and Pat's in there too. I guess I don't. But it's a big circle of artists. We really don't have a problem pulling filmmakers and artists. Pierre is, if you say film to Pierre, he gets excited in a special place. That's how excited he gets because he dedicated his life to film. I don't agree with him. I think he's crazy for doing it. But I want to give a shout out quickly before we close to all filmmakers because, you know, the projects that they work on, Bristol Fashion, 4+ years of an independent film with just spending money from the crew. You know, a few people in particular.
Yeah.
And it's a dedication. I need to work sticker movie 4 years with Cherie Smith and that crew, She Posse, etc. Shout out to you guys. Thank you, sticker communities. Thank you, sticker movie. Thank you to all of the amazing artists we have. We're so lucky to have you guys now. Tats crew as well. I can't say enough. You guys are amazing, and I never made it to your level or Bio's level or Nice's level.
I dare say that's not true. I saw Bristol Fashion. You're amazing actor.
I like
Come
acting.
on.
I do like acting.
Don't be so modest, honey bunny.
That's enough of puffing them up.
Oh, now I'm going home.
Somebody's got to puff you up. But let me say this just about the arts. They're all a labor of love. There were times I didn't know how I was going to pay my rent. I mean, I worked hard. I lived frugally. I didn't fall in love with designer clothes or anything. I didn't own a new car until I was 52. And the only reason I even bought a new car, I bought a demo model, was because my old Camry caught on fire on the Henry Hudson Parkway on my way home from an art opening.
Did you think about painting it?
No, although I could have. But, you know, if you really must do something, then you must. And you will find a way. And I really believe that of all the arts, whether it's writing or acting or music, if you absolutely have to do something, you will figure it out.
Thank you, Valerie.
It's funny because, and I'm going to close here because you gave us the perfect ending to season 1, is that you have to do it from love. I left I wasn't even about that, like a 6-figure career. People, why'd you quit? I cashed out. I spent $100,000 in a year and a half on photography because it's so expensive. I said, what piece of equipment? I went to B&H. I loaded up a bag of lenses. I didn't care. It was a labor of love. It always will be. It means a lot to me. I'm very serious about when it comes to my photography or my artwork. I learned this so much, even more so when I went to the program at FIT for photography, is that if you show your heart, people will pay attention. And that's something when I realized, oh, shit, that's the definition of an artist. You are the labor of love. It shows in every piece of work that you do. And it's the messages for the audience is do this because you love this. At the time when I had the most money I've ever had in my life, I wasn't making anything. I was severely depressed. And I'm talking about serious.
I believe you.
And the second I started creating something again, I felt like I was alive again.
And that is true. You may not be rich financially, but the richness of your life, like I look forward to going out painting. And my husband will say to me, if I'm unhappy, he'll go paint, you'll feel better. And I always do.
Well,
and we should leave that as the log line for this episode. If you're feeling a certain way, just go outside and paint, and you will feel better.
It's true.
We cannot thank you enough. Valerie, we love you, and you know that so much. Thank you so much, Valerie.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks
it's an
for being
honor.
on. To everyone listening, thank you for your support. We look forward to hitting the ground running in 2026. Have a happy new year and a happy holiday. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for more wins and more laughs. Follow us at Little Victories Pod on Instagram so you don't miss a thing.